Hi guys, this is Josie and the Transgender Effect. Thank you very much for tuning back. Today I found out that one of people that I used to know, she was a trans activist based out of San Francisco area, and Daphne Dorman actually took her life, and I have had like mixed feelings about this because we used to talk for years online, and it was something that actually has really gotten to me, just because we had very similar type of thinking. We had a lot of different things in common, that even though we have very, very different backgrounds, we were still very similar. So knowing of her passing away, it was really, it was, I can only wonder what it was going through her mind when she decided to entertain the thought of going to the land of no return. And this video is about what are the things that I've experienced when I was contemplating suicide. And I don't know if in a way you might be able to prevent it, just because as a person that deals with depression, I was dealing with depression day and night. It was non-stop. It started to be depression like just late at night, and then it started to evolve like depression also getting in the middle of the day, especially when I was not working, or when I had my day off, I should say. Then it moved to the depression moved to be so overwhelming that I was not even able to really function sometimes. On my days off, I would not get out of bed until like maybe it was 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And because it was debilitating, that depression was really getting a toll on my body. It was a lot of people that have not experienced depression in this type of form have no idea what it's like to be dealing with something that you know that is not supposed to be there, but then yet, I mean, I'm educated in a way that I mean, if I don't have an answer, I look for it. I want to get like 3 or 5 different opinions, because one opinion means nothing. 2, they might be divided. 3, there's not really consensus. There might be a consensus over there, but 5, that's when you start to get more educated answers to your problems. But when it comes down to depression, it was different. It got me by surprise. I didn't even know that I was actually experiencing depression. I just thought I was just sad. I didn't talk to anyone about it, just because, I mean, you have to, well, don't be sad. You should be happy all the time. And I learned to masquerade my depression with the face of a happy person, in a quote unquote entertaining personality. I was a person that was cracking jokes and stuff like that. So when I told my friends that I was experiencing depression prior to my transition, they couldn't understand it. Um, and especially like because the thing is that in between my transition and the time when I was thinking about suicide, it this was a period of time of about 2 years or something like that. And um, but when I was contemplating suicide, it was um, there is no way that I can explain it better, but it was a I to be honest, I have no idea how I made it out of there because contemplating suicide, a lot of people they will be like, well, suicide is for cowards and it's just for people that are giving up on everything and I used to think that. I used to think like that. And now I do understand what a person that contemplates suicide actually goes through. And one thing that I can tell you is that there is uh I I've experienced your pain. I've experienced your um um the lack of hope. Um and to be in a place where there is no hope um, is a place of it is an overwhelming feeling. And um, I I'm sorry if I get emotional just because it was a very difficult time. um, and like I said, I don't know how I got there to begin with. I I was obviously I was depressed because I was not able to express myself. I was not able to be myself. I was hiding everything. I hid my I learned to masquerade my emotions. I learned to hide my tears. I learned to I would be able to go out with my friends, have a quote unquote good time, and then coming back home and then just and my brother would be on the like on the we used to rent an apartment, the two of us, in I mean you could hear everything through the walls. um and I would get there and I would just cry. I learned how to cry silently so my brother will not hear me crying. um and and it was a very difficult time. It was I was not prepared for. Uh, I mean, I studied psychology in high school, and I philosophy and all that kind of stuff. But it was really I I thought I had all the tools that would prevent me from going to those dark places. I was, um, I thought I was strong on my faith, and uh, so even people of I've lost friends that actually have been involved in within a particular faith, and they 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 have given up, and and none of the None of the quote unquote love from above will come to rescue you. Um, and the reason why I'm telling you this is that so you will not fall into the same type of pattern, into the same thoughts that I feel, because again, not everybody makes it alive. I don't know how I made it out. I was. It is like once you start thinking about it, then especially when hope is gone, when there is no, you might be loved by your friends, but that might not be enough. And I say, and I'm not saying, I'm not diminishing the love of my friends at all. I'm just saying that it was that really didn't play up uh, a yeah, factor of my on me considering suicide. It was just because I was in so much pain. I was desperate. I wanted to have a I I knew I couldn't come out like that in that particular time. I couldn't come out and yet still be able to, in my own perception, to be uh, accepted as myself. I got, you start to think that um, everything you do is meaningless. But obviously now I can tell you that that is not the case. Um, that your perception might be skewed by particular set of issues that are not being addressed. Um, it might be in a way of a resentment. Um, it could be just like childhood trauma. Um, it could be the loss of a love that you thought it was your one shot, you know, and a series of different things. But it is that was not the case. Um, that's not the case. Is but once you are looking into the void and that meaningless becomes nothing, that pains become nothing, and that is what makes it so attractive to have suicide. But and I got sucked into it. I and then I got trapped into this whirlpool in my mind. I couldn't revolve. I couldn't get out. I couldn't cry out for help. I couldn't uh everything that I saw, it was just death. And 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 then it's just you start to have no feeling, and and then it's just everything becomes meaningless. And then if hope is not there anymore, what else you got? I remember that at one point I was ready to give up, and then call it a miracle or a coincidence. I don't care how you wanted to call it, but it was. I could not I couldn't forget a promise that I made to my best friend, who she actually already had attempted suicide, and thankfully was not successful. She was able to be taken to the hospital, and I sat there by her bed. She was crying. I cried with her. I never asked her why she did it. I just told her, I'm here. I'm here. And she is the one that actually made me promise that if I ever was going to contemplate suicide, because I was not able to come out because she knew about my struggle, that I was going to call her, and that she would be extremely mad if I didn't call her. So I decided to call her. The phone literally slipped off my hands several times. That's how debilitating the feeling is. I called her and she answered, and I told her she dropped her son at her cousin's place. She kept me on the phone, and then she told me to open the door for her, my door, because she was outside. And I opened the door, and I told her, and I knew that she was going to be able to understand that. And I knew that she was going to be able to understand the pain. I knew that she was able to understand the overwhelming feeling. And my reasons might have been different from hers. But at the end, the pain, the degree of pain is so much that it's like having a headache. It is like having a migraine, that it is so intense that you pretty much just want to just shoot yourself on the head just because you want the pain gone. Um, and that's one way that I can explain what it feels like. I just wanted to put an end to the senseless pain and get it over with it. But one of the things that, and she started to talk to me, and she talked me out of it by saying, you have to give Josie a try. You have to give her opportunity to, you have to allow yourself the opportunity to be who you are. And if that doesn't work, I'll be here holding your hand if you want to do it after that. So that seemed like a reasonable explanation, a reasonable outcome where I would be able to be myself and at least give myself an opportunity for whatever life was going to give me. Life has not been easy. Life has been quite difficult, but so is everybody else's life. Not everybody gets discriminated based on who they are. It's not only that I get discriminated based upon my skin color. It's not that I don't get discriminated by my name, by my last name. I also get discriminated because obviously I'm transgender. But we're fighting. We're fighting to make this a thing of the past. The community is fighting so we can be who we are, regardless of whatever person wants to think, you know. And I get that a lot of trans women actually get bullied, whether it's on social media. I do. I do open myself to be a part of a specific type of bullying just because I'm trying to help the community. I'm trying to help other transgender men and women out there to tell you that it gets better. But also you have to be realistic. And when I'm saying that is because having really, really high expectations might set yourself to failure, um, in a way that you are, let's say you are just coming, you are thinking about coming out, and you came out, and then you're like, yeah, it's gonna get better, it has to be. And then you hit your first brick wall. uh, People calling you names, um, people calling you derogatory terms left and right, and being ridiculed in front of everybody, and you don't know how to respond. And sometimes the best thing to do is not saying anything at all, just because you don't want to instigate any type of violence, though, too. But it does get better. It does get better. Um, there's If they don't want to accept you, who cares? Be true to yourself. It took a long time. It takes a lot of courage just to go through the process and just trying to push and push and push to that society that is telling you that you should not exist. It takes a lot, a lot, a lot. And then you, and just like every other person, you just don't understand that your your coming out actually had nothing to do with how people were gonna treat you. How people are gonna treat you are actually predetermined by the society that you live in. But they don't pay your bills. They don't they don't pay for anything that you do. And then yet they want to tell you how to live your life. Who the hell do they think they are? With what type of authority do they come into your life and tell you that you do not deserve to be you? Talking about cowards. Talk about cowards that hide behind hate. Talk about men, so-called men, that hide behind religious judgments and just plain hate, because that's the only thing that makes them stronger. They have no balls. They have nothing. And the only way that they can be somebody is if they put somebody else down. What a pathetic. There's no insult that actually will be able to really manifest the type of coward that does that. There's no word that is able to really have that particular meaning and saying, you big piece of Shaisa, you cannot. You have to bring somebody else down so you can be somebody. But you have to be aware though. You have to be aware because it's that type of energy that just drives, like, keeps on that energy is just keeps on sucking the life out of you. Rely on your friends. Rely on every single resource that you have. If you have to call the transgender suicide line, please do so. There's transgender personnel taking calls from other transgender people and trying to help you. There's resources out there. And yes, I get it. Sometimes that might not even be enough. But one thing that I can tell you by my own experience is that it got better. It got better. I would rather die than going back to my old self and having to deal with my female brain trying to get used to a male life. Is and if you have not come out, you probably might want to consider coming out. The weight that you're carrying up on your shoulders will be lifted up. It gets better. It will not stop being problematic, but at least gets better. And then hope is reborn. I hope that you get this. I hope that you understand that being part of a statistic, we lose 40% of our community to suicide. My friend, she had it everything. I thought she had everything. But she was not content. Daphne, I hope that you're in a better place now. I really hope that you are. You'll be missed. But one thing that I want, I know she's gone, but I want her to let her know that her pain didn't end it there. Her pain just got transferred. The pain just gets transferred. She's gone. And that was it. She was a transgender activist. She was fighting for our rights. And she became a victim of her own struggle. That she was unwilling to share. I understand. Only death is irreparable. Through the years that I have lived, that's the only thing that it cannot be fixed. She's gone. That was not the solution. But I understand. You get sucked into it and you just can't think anything else. Don't live in resentment. Don't be the type of person that actually believes that everybody's out there to get you. We fail to overlook the good. We fail to not paying attention to the good things that are here. Your mental health means everything. Treat yourself how you like to have others treat you. And then start treating others how you want to be treated. Loving others. In order to love others, you have to love yourself first. And I get it, that's sometimes really hard for us to get it. Because just because of our nature. Don't lose hope. Talk to somebody. Made a promise pact to somebody so that you will not do this type of stuff unless somebody's there with you that you can talk about this. Because it gets better. It gets better. It has gotten better. Daphne, you'll be missed.